So a few months ago, I posted a video that completely tanked, like genuinely embarrassing numbers. The topic was good, the idea was solid, but within 30 seconds, people were gone, and I couldn't figure out why. I did everything I was supposed to do. I had a hook, I had a structure, I had a good thumbnail, but the retention curve looked like a ski slope, and that sent me down a rabbit hole that completely changed how I think about content. Because here's what I realized: most creators are thinking about retention completely wrong. They think retention is about keeping people from leaving, but that's not it. Retention isn't about stopping people from quitting, it's about making them physically incapable of stopping. And once you understand the difference, once you understand how the brain actually decides to keep watching, everything about your content changes. I'm going to break that down in this video. And I have a bonus tip for new channels, so stick to the end. My name is Sid. I build products and I have made content for travel agencies and helped scale their social media from scratch. And in this last few months, I've been obsessively studying what makes people stay. Not surface level stuff like use B-roll or edit faster. I'm talking about the psychological wiring underneath that decides in the fraction of a second whether someone's brain stays or leaves. By the end of this video, you will have an exact framework for engineering retention into the content from ground up. Not tricks, not tactics, a system, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Before I get into the framework, I want to kill a myth first, because it's probably the single biggest reason your retention is low. Here's the myth: people leave because your content is boring. That is wrong. People don't leave because they are bored. People leave because they feel uncertain. There's a subtle but massive difference. Boredom is a feeling, uncertainty is a decision. And the moment a viewer becomes uncertain about where you are taking them, uncertain about whether the next 60 seconds will be worth their time, they are gone. Not because they didn't like you, because their brain ran a quick calculation and said the risk of staying isn't worth it. So retention isn't an entertainment problem, it's a trust problem. And once you reframe it that way, the solution becomes obvious. Here's the first thing you need to understand: every piece of content you make is a contract, an invisible unspoken deal between you and the viewer, and it gets written in the first 30 seconds. The viewer shows up, they scan your hook, and within the first half minute, their brain has already answered three questions. 1. Do I know what this is about? 2. Is it for someone like me? 3. Is the payoff worth my time? If you fail any one of these, they bounce. Doesn't matter how good the middle of your video is, they'll never see it. Most people focus almost entirely on question 1, making clear what the video is about, but questions 2 and 3 are where they actually live. The viewer has to feel like this was made specifically for them, and they have to believe on some gut level that you are going to deliver something real by the end. Think of it like this: imagine someone sits down next to you at dinner and just starts talking, no context, no setup, no warmth, just immediately launching into a monologue. You would check out instantly. But if they lean over and go, so you know how you are always trying to figure out why some content just sticks and some doesn't? I figured it out. Now you have logged in because they have made you feel seen. They have signaled the payoff and they have made it feel personal. That's the attention contract, and you need to write it in the first 30 seconds of every single video. There's a statistic I saw that honestly shook me. The average viewer makes the decision to stay or leave within the first 8 seconds, not 30, not 60, 8. That's less time than it takes to read this sentence out loud. 8 seconds. Your entire hook has to do the work in 8 seconds, which means you don't have time to ease in. You don't have time to slow build. You need to land something real, attention, a curiosity, a specific promise in the first 2 sentences. Anything else and you have already lost. Okay, so here's the actual mechanism behind why people stay. It's called the curiosity loop, and understanding this changed everything for me. Here's how it works. The human brain has a deep, almost compulsive need to close open loops. It's why you can't stop watching a show after a cliffhanger. It's why a sentence that trails off makes you want to see. You felt that. You wanted to finish it. Your brain was already reaching for the close. When you watch a video, the same mechanism is running in the background. And the creators who are absolute masters of retention, they are constantly, deliberately opening new loops before the old ones close. So the viewer is never in a state of completion. They are always chasing the next close. And here's the key thing that most people miss: loops don't have to be dramatic. People think you need to be dropping crazy reveals or plot twists every minute. You don't. A loop can be as simple as: there are 3 reasons people stop watching, and the third one is nobody talks about. Boom, you have just opened a loop. Now the viewer has to get the number 3. Their brain won't let them leave until they do. So tactically, here's what this looks like in your content. Every 60 to 90 seconds, you open a new loop. Sometimes it's a direct tease, I'll come back to this in a second, but first let me do this. Sometimes it's a question you raise but don't immediately answer. Sometimes it's a story you start but pause. The exact format doesn't matter. What matters is that at no point does the viewer feel like the content is done, because the moment it feels done, they leave. I want to stop here and give you a visual for this because it's important. Picture a retention graph. Most people's graph look like a slope. Starts high, bleeds out across the video. What you want is a graph that looks more like a heartbeat. Small drops, then a spike back up. Drop, spike, drop, spike. Each spike is a loop close. Each small drop is the moment of transition before the next loop opens. You are not trying to keep the line flat, you are trying to keep it alive. Here's something that took me embarrassingly long time to figure out. Pacing isn't about speed. This is the pacing trap that almost every creator falls into. When people have low retention, the first thing they do is edit faster. They cut every pause, they speed up their speech, they add more B-roll, and sometimes it helps marginally, but it never fixes the core problem, because the core problem isn't pace, it's rhythm. Think about a great conversation over dinner. It's not fast, it's not frantic, but it has a rhythm. There are moments where they lean in and slow down for something important. There are moments where the energy picks up because something surprising comes up. There are pauses, real deliberate pauses where nothing happens, and somehow that makes you lean in instead of check out. That rhythm is what creates the feeling of watching something real, not something produced. And that feeling, authenticity of rhythm, is one of the most powerful retention signals there is. So, what does this mean practically? It means your content needs variation, not just in editing speed, variation in energy, loud moments and quiet moments. Heavy information blocks followed by a light conversational riff, a moment when you are just thinking out loud. No polish, no structure, and then you snap back into the framework. The pattern interrupt isn't just a hook technique, it's a pacing tool, and the best creators use it constantly. A real talk for a second. I want to tell you about a creator I studied for weeks, trying to figure out why his retention was insane. Like 70 to 80% average view duration on 15-minute videos, which is almost unheard of. And the thing I noticed was that every 90 seconds or so, he would do this thing where he would just stop, lean back, and say something like, and here's where it gets weird. 5 words and no information, just a signal that something unexpected was coming, and the retention spike at those exact moments was enormous. He wasn't adding content, he was adding anticipation, and anticipation is more powerful than information for keeping people watching. There's one technique I want to give you that almost nobody talks about, and it might be the single highest leverage thing you can add to your content starting today. I call it the re-entry hook. Here's the situation. You have been watching a video for 4 minutes, you get a notification, your attention drifts for 5 seconds, and then you look back at the screen and have this tiny moment of, wait, where are we? What's happening? Most creators lose people in that 5 seconds gap. The viewer tunes back in, doesn't immediately re-anchor, and decides to just close the tab. The re-entry hook prevents that. It's a line, a phrase, a moment placed after every 2 or 3 minutes in your video that acts as a landmark. Something that snaps a drifted viewer right back into the story. It can be as simple as restating the stakes. So here's why this actually matters, or reorienting to the structure. Okay, so that was part 1. Part 2 is where it gets really interesting. These re-entry hooks work for 2 reasons. First, they catch the drifters. Second, they remind the engaged viewers why they are still watching, which paradoxically makes them more engaged. You are constantly refreshing the value proposition. Here's the bonus tip I mentioned to give earlier in this video. So when you are starting channel, the biggest mistake everyone makes is they launch the channel with nothing on or just one video. Watch time matters. You are telling YouTube this isn't just going to retain people very long. So launch the channel with at least 5 videos so YouTube has something to push. And it shows your audience that you are committed to it. That's the other thing. Before the final section, quick gut check. Think about the last piece of content you made. Did it have curiosity loops opening every 60 to 90 seconds? Did it have rhythm variation, high energy and low energy moments? Did it have an attention contract in the first 30 seconds and re-entry hooks every 2 or 3 minutes? If the answer is no to any of these, that's your retention leak. Right there. That's where people are falling off. And the fix isn't a new camera or better editing software. It's the structure underneath the content. Okay, so let's zoom all the way out and make this actionable, because frameworks are useless if you can't use them. Here's the retention system end to end. 5 components. Every piece of content should have all 5. 1. Attention contract. Written in the first 30 seconds. Makes the viewer feel seen, signals the payoff, creates a specific promise. 2. Curiosity loops. Open a new one every 60 to 90 seconds. Questions, teases, half started stories. Never let the content feel complete until you want it to. 3. Rhythm variation. Don't just go fast, go varied. Loud and quiet, dense and light, structured and conversational. The variation is what makes it feel real. 4. Pattern interrupts. Deliberate moments that break the expected flow. Stat that surprises. A question aimed directly at the viewer. A pause, a perspective shift. Every 90 seconds minimum. 5. Re-entry hooks. Every 2 to 3 minutes, a line that re-anchors drifted viewers and refreshes the value for everyone else. Use this as a checklist. Before you publish anything, go through it. Attention contract, loops, rhythm, pattern interrupts, re-entry hooks. If any of these are missing, your retention is leaking. It's that simple. Here's the thing about retention. When you get it right, it doesn't feel like a technique. It feels like a conversation. The viewer isn't aware that they have been in a content for 10 minutes. They are just there, present, engaged. And when it ends, they feel that specific thing where they think, wait, that's it? I want more. That feeling is not an accident. That's the system working. And once you build it, it becomes the foundation of everything. Your trust, your audience, your growth. I never once told you keep watching in this video. But you did. That's the whole point. Alright, if this hit different than what you usually see on content strategy, subscribe. Because this is what I do. Deep frameworks, non-obvious stuff, things most people in the content world aren't covering. Drop a comment with the specific part of your retention curve that bleeds out the most, beginning, middle, or end. And I'll make a dedicated video on the exact fix for whichever one you're struggling with. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.